Welcome back to Omoshiroi Recap. Today, I will recap Science Fell in Love. Love is a phenomenon that is considered a physiological drive by researchers. However, its complexity and diverse causes make it the most difficult emotion to explain. Yukimura and Himuro are brilliant students at Saitama University. Himuro suddenly confesses that she is in love with Yukimura, who is unsure how to answer her, asking how to define love. He claims that he has no experience with romance but does not deny the possibility that he has affection towards Himuro. Since Himuro is a science student, she does not hesitate to provide precise data to support her claim. She presented a pie chart showing the factors that helped her ascertain whether she felt love towards Yukimura. Most mention the number of times she felt signs of attraction towards him, such as an increase in her heart rate or the times Yukimura appeared in her dreams. As he tried to connect her presentation with acceptable proof of love, Himuro looked at him like a puppy wagging its tail. They conclude that love is based on a mathematical formula. Fellow student Kanedi worries that they've gone crazy. They start imitating the romantic manga scene where Yukimura caved on Himuro is on the wall while tracking heartbeats.
逃げるな、ヒムロ。
雪村君。
よし、終了。
The results determine that physical proximity has the most extreme results. Himuro shyly showed her high heart rate of 147 beats per minute despite her earlier reluctance. Himuro suddenly changed the subject to continue conducting further experiments. The two determined scientists tried whatever they found, even though they did not understand the purpose of each action, and became overly analytical. Himuro found something interesting and asked Yukimura to remove his glasses to test the hypothesis.
何の仮説だ。説明しろ。
An hour later, the couple was already experimenting with various scenarios, Himuro hugging him and saying they could collect more data if they stayed longer like that. Not even a minute passed, and Himuro happily fell asleep beside Yukimura. Afterward, the two returned to the laboratory to illustrate and discuss their findings. Seeing her senior's extremely high pulse pattern, Kanedi assumed Himuro must be in love. Kanedi insists love is based on emotions and presents a story of falling in love with her high school teacher as proof. But Yukimura breaks down her story into a mathematical formula and demands details of her romantic history. Himuro chastises him for being too demanding, so Yukimura caved on her again. When Yukimura starts ranting about the importance of the scientific method, Himuro stares at him again like a puppy, causing her heart rate to increase again. Kanedi was going to the research lab the next day, thinking everyone must be at work by now. Upon entering the lab, she saw her senior, Ibarata, happily playing several video games simultaneously. Ibarata never did any research and played games all day. Kanedi obediently cleaned up the mess and prepared to work. Meanwhile, Yukimura solemnly announces that he will monitor his heart rate for today's experiment. But he tries to escape before the embarrassing data can be collected. Kanedi suddenly became a professional wrestler and knocked her senior to the ground. The impact knocks Yukimura unconscious, so Kanedi apologizes and doesn't mean to hurt him. When Yukimura woke up, he was shocked to see himself tied up by his colleagues. Himuro started the experiment by sitting on his lap, and Himuro asked him to touch her head. Yukimura patted Himuro's head like a puppy, and when he tried to take his hand, he held it while blushing. Suddenly, Ibarata interrupted their suspicious activity and asked what was wrong. Kanedi happily explained the situation, so Himuro went to check the results of their experiment to show them to Ibarata. They looked at the results, and Yukimura's heart rate was much higher than Himuro's. Ibarata suggested repeating the test with someone other than Himuro. His heart rate also increased for Kanedi and Ibarata. Himuro thought he was a pervert until Yukimura explained that he got very nervous when a woman approached him because he had never interacted with women. But Himuro was still angry with him. Sometime later, Kanedi was tired of researching and decided to look for a snack in the kitchen. Upon arrival, she saw her senior, who seemed to be cooking something. Yukimura loses his cool as the recipe book shows a little salt rather than the right amount. Himuro states that proper affection is the most important thing in cooking. To determine if love makes food better, Kanedi suggests making two separate dishes so Yukimura can determine if food tastes better with love. Finally, they serve their dishes to Yukimura. Himuro put her heart into her dish, making her blush at how beautiful it looked. Despite his complaints, Yukimura loudly proclaimed that there was no doubt that dishes made with love tasted better.
B だ。B がうまいに決まってるだろうが。こんなものが書いてあれば。
The next day, Himuro and Yukimura considered their progress. They concluded that they needed someone in love as their reference. Just in time, Kusuke walked into the lab and happily greeted them. Yukimura immediately asked Kusuke if he was in love with someone. Kusuke haughtily replied that he lived for love. They asked Kusuke to tell them more, so he revealed that his girlfriend's name was Eika, and she lived in a distant world. Moreover, he had allegedly spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on his beloved and hugged her consistently every night for 2 years. Himuro was shaken after hearing everything Kusuke said. When Ibarata interrupted, she showed the game CD and revealed that Eika was the tsundere character from the dating game. Even Eika looks exactly like Ibarata. Kusuke embarrassedly confided that he had been in love with the 2D character and slept with Eika's body pillow all this time. Yukimura concludes this is normal as human romantic preferences vary. Based on Kusuke's data, Himuro concludes that she should not love Yukimura. Yukimura panics and retracts his previous conclusion that Kusuke is too weird. Then Himuro reveals to Kanedi that she was bullied as a child until she met a boy who was also bullied but never let it bother him. The boy told her if she dressed better and stopped looking grim, people would automatically treat her better. Those words influenced the way she dressed in the present. Kanedi realized the boy was Yukimura, but neither Yukimura nor Himuro realized it. Kanedi tells them they must do something normal to progress their research. They need to date. Later in the lab, they ask their colleagues for date ideas. After hearing some ridiculous suggestions, they accept Kusuke's basic suggestion of going to an amusement park and immediately plan the most efficient route to ensure they have the most romantic experience. After that, Kanedi forces Yukimura to ask Himuro out, officially making her very happy.
俺と一緒にデートしてくれるか。
何言ってるの。すでに確定しているわ。
Himuro and Yukimura show up to their date in lab coats, ready to follow their date plan, but Kanedi forces them to dress casually. In addition to monitoring their heart rate and body temperature, Ibarata proposes to count the times when they feel happy, uncertain, and scared.
デートの服ってわからなくて迷ってしまって。
まあ悪くないんじゃないか。
While at the cafe, Yukimura decided not to hold hands, causing Himuro to leave disappointed. However, a punk tried to ask Himuro out forcibly. Himuro confuses the delinquent with an elaborate scientific refusal. Getting annoyed, the delinquent grabs Himuro's arm, prompting Yukimura to rescue her.
俺は君を見て恋に落ちてしまったんだ。
その女に触れるな。チンパンジー王族。
When the delinquent protests, Yukimura surprises him by angrily providing evidence showing that he is interested in Himuro but does not definitively prove his love for her. The brat becomes embarrassed by Yukimura's emotional outburst, while Himuro finds him very attractive, and eventually they leave the scene holding hands. At the amusement park, Himuro and Yukimura continue to hold hands, but mostly to distract them from their fear of the attraction as they ride it. During the afternoon, Yukimura gave Himuro a gift of a pair of earrings, naturally making Himuro very happy. She showed him the data they collected and concluded they had a good time. But Himuro suggested repeating the experiment to ensure its accuracy. Yukimura and Himuro made plans to present the data they collected at the bi-monthly meeting in their lab with Professor Aikta. During the meeting, Aikta announced a joint training camp involving 3 other universities. Kanedi and Kusuke are required to attend the camp and present their proposed thesis topics. However, it is revealed that Kusuke hasn't even started working on his topic, which raises Aikta's ire. Aikta becomes even more confused when Yukimura and Himuro present their data on love, which they mainly use to humiliate each other, despite being upset that they dedicate less time to their scientific research. Aikta realizes the potential of their love research and considers it an interesting study on the psychology of love. Realizing the need for a larger group of volunteer couples to observe and repeat their experiment, they sought additional participants. Ibarata easily won against Kusuke as she imitated Eika.
こいつは愛花じゃねえ。人をこき使ってばかりのクソ女。
好きよコスケ。
Her heart rate also surpassed his once again by recounting memories of their childhood friendship. On the other hand, Kanedi repeated their experiment by trying to feed Yukimura, but seeing that made Himuro uneasy. Feeling unacceptable if Yukimura was making out with another girl, Himuro immediately snatched the food away from them. While checking the data collected from their heartbeats, Ibarata suggested that Yukimura and Himuro should try kissing. They embark on a kissing experiment, but Himuro expresses her lack of enthusiasm, considering their first kiss was just an experiment. Kennedy agrees, stating the kiss should happen when the mood is right. They design the experiment with help from Kusuke, a pleasant, secluded location with dim lighting, no other people, and 30 seconds of uninterrupted eye contact are necessary to boost the mood. After much research, they concluded that the university rooftop at sunset was the most suitable place. As a control measure, another kiss should be performed first. Yukimura tried to kiss Kennedy but kissed her hand instead. While in the lab, Ibarata immediately kisses Himuro, who has never done so, making Yukimura jealous. Ibarata says not to worry about it because a kiss between two girls is not true. The next pair for the experiment was Kusuke with Himuro.
俺の口づけを味わいな。
何にも感じなかったわ。
いい笑顔でひで。
Kusuke kisses Himuro's hand, but she doesn't feel anything. While Ibarata tries to seduce Yukimura to kiss passionately, Yukimura rejects it and tries to escape from Ibarata. Next are Kennedy and Himuro. Himuro has no female friends, so she is pleased to be friends with Kennedy and considers her sister. Kennedy also feels the same way and has long wanted an older sister. Then Himuro kissed her forehead, causing mutual embarrassment. A fight ensued between Yukimura and Kusuke, and in the end, they hit each other's heads. After that, with a scary face, Yukimura asked what he did with Himuro during the experiment. Kusuke frantically replied that he only kissed her hand. While Ibarata and Kusuke are involved in a game, if he gets 5 stars out of 10 pulls, he can kiss Ibarata anywhere. If not, Kusuke must kiss her feet. Kusuke and Kennedy confided in each other that they had chosen a crazier lab than expected, after which they had an indirect kiss through a drinking bottle. It was finally time for Yukimura and Himuro to try their kisses and strive for the perfect kiss. But their efforts were interrupted by helicopters, and the sun was setting prematurely. Even the janitor locked the roof door, ruining the atmosphere. A frustrated Himuro insisted on continuing the kiss, despite the arguing in response. Yukimura kissed her hair and promised they would get the highest theoretical score kiss someday. The laboratory residents held a party to celebrate the end of the semester. In the party game, they recited prime numbers. Kennedy, who was unfamiliar with prime numbers, made Yukimura feel surprised that Kennedy was a scientist but did not understand the appeal of prime numbers. Himuro explains the importance of science, including its involvement in the Riemann hypothesis. Moments later, Himuro became drunk and started to get attached to Yukimura.
っていきなりベロベロになるわよね。
Himuro asked Yukimura for a kiss with the maximum theoretical value, but Yukimura couldn't do it then. At the same time, Kusuke behaved strangely, hugging Ibarata and saying he wanted to marry Ibarata. Meanwhile, Kennedy was also drunk and reprimanded Yukimura and Himuro for making out all day. In the end, Yukimura was the only one who was still sober. He reads a book while the others sleep. In the morning, Himuro, Kennedy, and Kusuke feel dizzy and don't even remember what they did last night. Seeing that incident made Yukimura even more convinced that avoiding alcohol was the best decision. Kusuke feels very discouraged as there has been no progress in his research. With less than a month left until training camp, Aikta suggested that Kusuke explore the application of science in everyday life, such as researching algorithms for getting the best ending in dating simulation games. Kusuke was instantly intrigued and wondered if it could be accepted as research material. If Kusuke could complete the research, he could immediately find the best route to happiness that even CG scenes in erotic games could immediately see. Knowing that, Kusuke became even more excited and immediately started his research. Then Yukimura criticized Kennedy's presentation skills, and then Yukimura asked for a sample of her saliva. Yukimura intended to measure oxytocin, the love hormone released during physical contact with a loved one. Their goal was to accurately determine who someone was in love with. To illustrate this point, Yukimura revealed an embarrassing video of Himuro getting drunk at the party without her knowledge. They agreed that a 1-minute hug would be enough for physical contact, but found themselves overwhelmed after a few seconds.
この柔らかさは、甘い香りは。
この幸せな感覚は心が穏やかになっていく。オキシトシンが溢れてくる。
Yukimura plans to present their oxytocin research at the training camp. Aikta's former student Erika arrives at the lab and is interested in Himuro and Yukimura. She expresses her love for amateur manga art and asks permission to turn their story into a manga series. They agree in hopes of collecting love data from her. Aikta invites Erika to a training camp that she reveals is in Okinawa, but when Erika becomes enthusiastic about illustrating erotic scenes featuring Himuro and Yukimura, they regret accepting her offer. While on the plane, Yukimura forced Himuro to give her saliva, but Himuro did not want to give it in public. Since Yukimura was very pushy, Himuro had no choice but to hit him and ask him not to show physical closeness in public. But a while later, Himuro felt uneasy. She suddenly wanted to cuddle with Yukimura. They found a very luxurious hotel, and it turned out that Erika paid for it because she hoped the luxurious atmosphere would inspire romance between Yukimura and Himuro. That way, Erika can get a lot of material for her manga. At the beach, Yukimura feels embarrassed when he sees the beauty of Himuro in her swimsuit. Himuro and Yukimura started experimenting with physical contact, but their shyness surfaced. Himuro, who was wearing a swimsuit, of course, Yukimura could touch her skin directly. Although they wanted to hug, they felt embarrassed and postponed the experiment. Ibarata taunted Kusuke with their childhood memories at the beach. At that time, Kusuke said something so embarrassing that it made Kusuke suffer when he remembered his dark past. Then Kusuke went to buy some grilled squid, and simultaneously, a group of men tried to seduce Ibarata. Kusuke saw them touching Ibarata's hand, immediately approached them and slapped the naughty man's face. But it turned out that they didn't do anything bad to Ibarata, they were just playing games on their cell phones. Ibarata shamed Kusuke for overreacting, although she secretly appreciated his actions. Ibarata is happy that Kusuke protected her and will not forget that memory. During the afternoon, Himuro and Kanedi saw the beauty of the sunset from their hotel room. Himuro felt that the beauty made the mood reach the highest level for kissing. When Yukimura entered her room, it made her believe that Yukimura wanted physical intimacy. But his real intention was to help Kanedi prepare for her presentation. Himuro realizes that she craves closeness with Yukimura. A science student delivered the first presentation on Nash equilibrium non-cooperative game theory and the taboo search principle. Unfortunately, his professor suddenly removed him from the stage due to inadequate preparation. Kusuke then presented his research on the problems associated with the longest and shortest paths to obtain true ending. Not only that, this method also applies to erotic games. A famous scientist reluctantly recognizes the value of his research and says researching romance games is useless. Hearing that Kusuke was angry, Kusuke believed his research would be useful to someone. In the end, there was an argument between them. After that, Kanedi started to panic, prompting Yukimura to comfort her with a hug that caught Himuro's attention. Of course, it made Himuro jealous even though she also wanted to hug Yukimura, but he hugged another girl instead. Meanwhile, Kanedi gets upset, and Yukimura explains that he was trying to raise her oxytocin levels, and her stress hormones dropped significantly to calm her down. Kanedi delivers her thesis on the traveling salesman problem and uses Yukimura and Himuro's perfect amusement park date as her basis. She even manages to answer all the professor's questions and impress them. Himuro was angry with Yukimura about his hug with Kanedi. Himuro could not forgive Yukimura for easily hugging a young woman and then denying it, though she also wanted to hug Yukimura. But Yukimura criticized Himuro for feeling jealous even though they were not dating. Hearing that, Himuro slapped him and left crying. Everyone tried to relax at the aquarium but couldn't because of the tension between Himuro and Yukimura. Himuro asks Yukimura if he understands why she is upset. Kusuke points out that it is a legendary question in relationships with no correct answer that a man can give. Yukimura scientifically justifies her anger, mentioning her menstrual cycle, so Himuro again hits him. Himuro confesses to Kanedi that she feels ashamed for reacting emotionally instead of intellectually. Himuro confesses that the statement about her and Yukimura not being in a relationship affected her deeply. Kanedi assures her that feeling jealous is normal when one is in love. Himuro decides to reconcile with Yukimura and seeks help from Kanedi and Erika. Together, they plan to buy a personalized eyeglass case for Yukimura, and Himuro intends to write an apology thesis while rushing to send it to Yukimura. Unfortunately, Himuro trips and accidentally breaks the gift she wants to give to Yukimura, causing Himuro to feel embarrassed and run away. Yukimura reads the thesis and realizes that he, too, must reconcile with Himuro. Kanedi became worried when Himuro did not return to their room, prompting her to search outside. Yukimura tries to reconcile with Himuro, and Kennedy says Himuro has not returned to the room. After learning of Himuro's absence, Yukimura, Kusuki, and Kennedy thoroughly search the hotel to find her. During the search, Ibarata tells them she witnessed Himuro leave the hotel and never return. Ibarata also mentions that Himuro tripped on the last step of the stairs, making breaking the glasses case physically impossible. Kennedy tells Yukimura that Erika is responsible for wrapping the gifts. Yukimura realized what had happened and immediately met Erika outside.
氷室のプレゼントを壊したのは貴様か。
確かにやったのは私です。
Erika admits to having intentionally broken the gift to create obstacles and drama for their reconciliation as material for her manga. Erika compares herself and Yukimura, both completely dedicated to their respective fields and willing to do whatever it takes to achieve results. With his judgment, Yukimura vowed to thwart Erika's further attempts to hinder their research in finding the existence of love.
これ以上氷室を傷つけるようなことをするならば、俺も手段を選ぶつもりはないぞ。
Erika wished Yukimura and Himuro well and revealed Himuro's location. The broken glass case was fake, while the real one was fine. Yukimura rushes away and finds Himuro on the bridge, where he starts criticizing the poorly written reconciliation thesis. Amidst the criticism, Himuro reveals her emotions and embraces Yukimura, leading to a kiss between them. Yukimura and Himuro realize that they have performed a perfect kiss with the mood reaching 100. After they watched the sunrise, Yukimura brought Himuro back to the hotel by carrying her. They reunite with the rest of the group and return to the university, where they continue their research on love. However this story ends, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.